Well, if you have ever been to Paris, you'll know that it is a city full of art museums with the works of thousands of artists inside. But almost all of them are male. Being a female artist has never been easy. And to talk a bit more about the role of women in art, I'm joined on the set by Paris Muse educator and Fulbright scholar Lauren Jimerson. Hi, Lauren.
Hi.
First of all, are there lots of female artists present in Paris museums, or at least a few?
Well, there certainly are a few, but it's harder than one might think to find female artists in museums here. So next time you visit a museum, check out the labels and you'll notice that the majority of the names are male. And this is especially true in museums featuring art before 1900. On average, less than 10% of artists on view in Paris's museums are female.
So why is it so hard to find female artists in museums? They must be out there.
Yeah, of course. So art is a reflection of society, and unfortunately that includes racial and gender inequalities. Many contributions by female artists have been forgotten by history, and many female artists have unfortunately not received the attention they deserve. If you take a look at the Louvre's collection, that's a good demonstration of how historically societies have privileged male creativity. So in the paintings collection, for example, there are approximately 1,400 artists represented, and of that, only 21 are female. That's about 1.5%. To my knowledge, there are no female sculptors exhibited in the Louvre. It does get better with at Musée d'Orsay and at the Pompidou and more modern art museums, and certainly at contemporary art museums, but they're still predominantly more male artists.
So why historically was it so challenging for women to become artists?
So first of all, women were supposed to devote their energies to the home and to raising children, but they were severely restricted in many other ways. For example, before the early 1900s, a respectable woman could not wander the streets of Paris unchaperoned. And there were many urban places that the female impressionists, Berthe Morisot and Mary Cassatt, couldn't visit. So they were more restricted than the other impressionists. Also, women were deliberately denied access to art education in France. They were not allowed entry into the École des Beaux-Arts, the national art school and stepping stone to success, until 1897. This means that they were banned from studying the nude model. This was partly to protect women's chastity. A woman was not supposed to look at naked bodies, especially not a naked male body. But also women were considered inferior to men and deemed incapable of skillfully rendering the body.
Well, with so many restrictions, how then did those few women who became artists manage to break through?
So from the Renaissance onwards, many female artists came from artist families from whom they acquired the skills and the network necessary in order to launch a successful career. And Vigée Lebrun is a key example of that, an 18th century painter who achieved international fame. In the 19th century, we see an increasing number of private academies that opened up in Paris where female artists could study. And the French sculptor Camille Claudel studied at Académie Colarossi, one of the few places where women could study art before she became Rodin's apprentice. And then we see in the 19th century that more and more women are exhibiting at the prestigious Salon at the Louvre. But things began to change. At the beginning of the 20th century, the gallery system that we have today came into place, and dealers privileged male artists whose work fetched more money.
You talked about Camille Claudel, you mentioned Vigée Lebrun. Talk us through some of the other more notable French female artists and where we can find their work.
So, of course, I did mention Vigée Lebrun, and you can go and see her works at the Louvre. She was Marie Antoinette's favorite painter. But Rosa Bonheur is an artist I enjoy sharing with Paris Muse clients, and not many people know about her, but she was a very famous painter in the 19th century. She was an animalier, which means she specialized in animal paintings, and she was an interesting woman who had short hair, smoked cigarettes, and she received special permission from the police in order to wear trousers. She needed to wear trousers in order to visit the slaughterhouses where she could study animal anatomy. There are many other artists as well. Suzanne Valadon, you can see at Musée Montmartre, and you can visit her studio as well, where she used to live and work. She is an interesting woman who defied all the odds. She came from the lowest echelons of society. And was the child of an unmarried housekeeper, then became an artist model in Montmartre, and then became an artist in her own right, focusing on the subject she knew intimately, the nude.
And you're actually focusing on her for your doctoral dissertation right now, aren't you?
Right, yeah, at Rutgers, yes.
So tell us a bit more about Sonia Delaunay, Niki de Saint-Phal, some of the more contemporary artists.
Yeah, so Sonia Delaunay is an important artist. You can see her work at the Pompidou and at Musée d'Art Moderne. And she came from the Ukraine, and she developed with her husband Orphism, which was an offshoot of Cubism. And there was an important exhibition of hers a couple years ago at Musée d'Art Moderne. And then with Niki de Saint-Phal and Louise Bourgeois, these are artists that during the 20th century and up until very recently, they both recently passed, they were very important artists who did large sculptures and installations. You can see their work at Musée d'Art Moderne, the Pompidou, and at modern art museums around the world.
Lauren, what about today? Is it any better for women artists now, or are things as difficult?
So since the 1970s, things have gotten a lot better. During the 1970s feminist movement, there was an explosion of women artists on the international art scene that really changed the art world forever. And since then, women have made significant strides, exhibiting in more prestigious exhibitions, winning more awards, commanding higher prices for their work. But the glass ceiling in art still exists, and gender inequality in the visual arts is staggering. It's estimated that over 50% of artists are women today, but less than 5% of artists in the world's preeminent museums are women. So you can see that much work remains to be done when it comes to reconsidering the place of female artists in museum collections.
Yeah, there is still a long way to go. Well, Lauren, thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
It's Lauren Jimerson there from Paris Muse. And don't forget, if you want to find out more about women in art, art in general, or art in Paris, or if you just want to take a really great private art tour, be sure to check out the Paris Muse website. It's parismuse.com.